One of my absolute favorite things to order at a Chinese food restaurant is Mongolian beef. It's a little spicy, savory, and not overly sweet like some Americanized Chinese food dishes. I decided it was high time to try and make a low carb version, and man, did I nail it with this recipe. My husband loves it so much that he has requested me to make it several times now for not just our family, but for his family and friends as well. And they all love it. First, we start by cutting flank steak in half lengthwise. This is around 1.5 pounds of flank steak. If you don't have flank steak, you could use skirt steak or flap steak. You could even use sirloin too. I actually will sometimes get the sirloin steak, the thin cut sirloin steak at Costco, that huge thing of it. It's cut super thin. I'll use that a lot of times in this recipe and it works perfectly, and I actually don't have to go through cutting all the steak and waste time that way. Then you want to slice each piece into small chunks by slicing it across the grain into about 1/4 inch pieces. And then we're going to place this in a large bowl and let it marinate. Pour in a tablespoon of soy sauce or tamari, or you can use liquid aminos or coconut aminos, and then add in a tablespoon of toasted sesame oil. You want to mix that until it's evenly coated and then set it aside to marinate for around 5 minutes. While that's going, I could work on my sauce, or maybe I could prepare the rice, but my brain is a little fuzzy and I can really only accomplish one thing at a time right now. So I'm going to take those 5 minutes and enjoy a cup of hot chocolate. But you know what? We're not going to just make any old hot chocolate. This is going to be a low carb hot chocolate that only has 1 gram of net carbs in it. And it's also going to be filled with electrolytes because I think I need those right now. And hopefully this will help clear my head so I can finish dinner and start working on my cookbook because yes, I'm still working on that. Almost done though. I'm going to use the chocolate salts from Element Electrolytes to make my salty hot cocoa. This medley pack has 3 different flavors: chocolate mint, chocolate chai, and chocolate raspberry. And I'm going to use the chocolate mint today. All I have to do is just add in the hot water and mix it. And this gives me the most delicious low-carb flavored hot chocolate that has only 1 gram of carb. Plus, it has their science-backed formula of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium if I use the entire packet. All of these will help replenish some of the electrolytes that I've lost and get those neurons firing and muscles firing again. Let's get me back to normal, please. Right now, Element's offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order, so it's a great way to try some of their flavors. To get yours, you just need to go to drinkelement.com/ketofocus. Cheers! Back to the Mongolian beef. Let's make a sauce to go with this. Grab a medium bowl and pour in 3 tablespoons of water, 3 tablespoons of sugar-free brown sweetener, 2 tablespoons of a dry white wine like Sauvignon Blanc. If you're alcohol-free, you could actually just add in more water here or use chicken broth or beef broth. Add in 1/3 cup of soy sauce or whatever your poison is. Then 1 teaspoon of powdered ginger, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and 3/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Whisk this together to combine it, and then we're going to set it aside. Back to our beef. To help this sauce thicken when we cook everything, I'm going to toss the sauce with a tablespoon of arrowroot powder. Arrowroot powder is my go-to keto thickener. It actually has 7 times the thickening power as all-purpose flour, so you don't have to use that much of it, which is how you're able to get away with using less carbs because you're only using a smaller amount. If you didn't have arrowroot powder and didn't want to purchase it, you could try using cornstarch. It'll do the same. It can be a little bit higher in carbs, but again, you wouldn't use that much of it here. Now let's cook our steak. Heat a large skillet or a wok over high heat and pour in about 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. I'm using avocado oil because it has a high smoke point. Then we're going to work in batches and add an even layer of some of the beef and cook it just until the edges are crispy and browned. And then you're going to flip it over and cook the other side. This should take only around a minute per side. You want to work in batches here because if you were to add all the beef to your pan, it would overcrowd it so much that moisture would release from cooking the steak and it's going to start to touch the other pieces of steak. So all that moisture is going to steam cook your beef rather than sear it, so that you're left with rubbery gray looking steak instead of nice crispy brown chunks of steak that's juicy inside. Repeat that until all your steak is done, and then you're going to return all the cooked steak back into the skillet. Then we're going to add in some sliced green onion. This is from 6 green onions, and then pour in the sauce. While the sauce is cooking, you want to scrape up the brown bits from the bottom of the skillet. All that contains all that cooked meat flavor in there. It might sound gross, but it actually adds so much more flavor to your sauce. So make sure you scrape the bottom and get all those little bits to mix up and reincorporate back into the sauce. Let this cook until it starts to thicken, which should only take a couple of minutes. And then you're ready to serve this over the most delicious non-cauliflower rice that you've ever had. Sounds confusing, but if you want to learn how to make cauliflower rice that doesn't suck and actually tastes good, then click right here for all my tips.